It's actually crazy to me that a lot of people think that Bitcoin is going to remain the number one crypto project forever. This to me just makes absolutely no sense, especially with how close we are to regulations and how close we are to utility being the main driver behind all of this. And we have to talk about this. We're going to be addressing it. And also, we have a lot of information to go over in this video, especially if you do hold XRP. So definitely stick around until the end. And with that being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's dive on in and let's actually talk about, the whole Bitcoin idea, with Bitcoin remaining the number one. So as we look at Bitcoin today, it has a market cap of $1.85 trillion. Now, a lot of people are very, bullish on Bitcoin. They think that Bitcoin is going to $1 million. It's going here, going there. One thing that I have been always critical about when it comes to Bitcoin is the technology behind it. Okay. When I'm thinking about future technology, I'm not thinking about technology that takes minutes to settle. It's very slow. It's very, inconsistent. I'm thinking about a project or technology, if you will, that is extremely efficient to the point where I can move tens of millions of dollars for a very low fee and almost in a near instant time frame. And if we're thinking about that, XRP has essentially been created for this very reason. We know that from Arrington Capital, they tested sending $50 million using XRP, and they paid a fraction of what you would pay on basically just a small little transaction. We're talking about, cents to dollars. I mean, XRP is one of the most efficient cryptocurrencies out there and DLTs in this space for sending, receiving, or just making any transaction. Now, today's market cap of XRP is $82.9 billion. I personally believe that XRP is going to flip Bitcoin at some point in time. Is it going to happen this cycle? Probably not. But I do think that XRP is going to be an absolute giant, especially in a regulated, utility-driven market where the prices are not determined by, Michael Saylor going on live television saying that, Bitcoin's going to go to $1 million. Like, the whole hype and speculation phase of this market is coming to a close. And when the curtain opens back up, the only thing that will determine value is how adopted and how utilized the networks actually are. And the thing that determines that is how efficient they are. Now, I want to talk about this more in depth because as we look at what's happening even right now, the big thing to focus on is real world asset tokenization. This is Securitize. Securitize has been absolutely killing the game. They have been working with institutions and some of the biggest players out there to bring the world on chain through tokenization. We could actually see some of their players that are already utilizing them for tokenization initiatives. You have BlackRock here, Hamilton Lane, KKR as well. And there's a few more, right? If we actually go to the view more, you could see some of the other players that are on here. There's quite a bit of tokenized funds already tapped in on some very big networks out there. But I bring up Securitize because of, how adopted they are. We know that back in March, for an example, that's when BlackRock launched the first tokenized fund. And this was on the Ethereum network through Securitize. Now, during this time, a lot of people were saying like, oh, that's it. Ethereum is going to be, the biggest thing ever, what, blah, 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 whatever. As we look at this, right, the institutions, the big players like BlackRock, they're dipping their toes in right now. A lot of this is just around like millions of dollars, potentially even billions. But we are not seeing the real money just yet. But also, back in May, Securitize announced a $47 million strategic funding round led by BlackRock. And this was with a few other players as well. But, for the most part, BlackRock, this proved that BlackRock was here and they're going basically all in on the tech. And it's for good measure, which we'll talk about why in a second. But even more so, if we go to the Securitize story, we have leading the tokenization of real world assets. And they do say here that back in 2017, they envisioned using blockchain technology to bring automation and liquidity potential to alternative asset classes. Recognizing that the technology didn't exist, they built Securitize. And we could actually see the full timeline here, especially, in 2024, for an example. They've been expanding rapidly. They've been becoming a very big player in the tokenization of basically everything around us. They have some very big overall board of directors from BlackRock, for an example. There's a few other companies on here as well, but look at their advisory board. Look at how stacked this advisory board is. Twitter, Google, Barclays, the SEC, JP Morgan. Even down here, we also see, the New York Commodities Exchange, the World Economic Forum. The list just goes on. I mean, it's actually kind of wild. And also, by the way, James Wallace, VP of Central Bank Engagements at Ripple. Interesting. And if we actually look at their investors, very big list. And of course, we have Ripple here with SBI Holdings, for an example. So, obviously Ripple has a very, small piece of, exposure to Securitize. But also, if we go over here, this was 15 hours ago, Standard Chartered's Zodia Inc.'s custody deal with Securitize, BlackRock's tokenization partner. Okay. So now Zodia Custody is inking up with Securitize. And we even have here that our partnership with Zodia Custody extends secure and compliant custody solutions to institutional investors, allowing them to access tokenized assets like BlackRock's BUIDL. We also have together, we're bringing or bridging traditional finance and digital assets, proving infrastructure that institutions need to confidently engage in this transformative market. Now, they do mention down here, the tokenization market and cryptocurrency and how, big these markets are going to essentially be. Overall, is this going to lead to exposure to XRP? Well, let's talk about that. Here we have Ripple starting to follow Securitize. Securitize is a leading platform for expanding investor access to exclusive private market alternative assets, from private equity to private credit and more. But also, if we go over here, recently Securitize was at Ripple Swell back in the middle of October. And this was titled The Power of Tokenization in the Digital Era. Now, they were also on stage with Northern Trust and Archix. And if you guys do know, Archix was also recently, announcing that they collaborated with Ripple to launch the first tokenized money market fund on the XRP ledger. And if we go back to the summer, they announced that they were bringing millions to the XRP ledger as well. But I want to come back to this because also James Wallace was on stage with them. And like I showed you guys, back over here we come down here, James Wallace, he's under the board of directors, or their advisory board, as Securitize. Now, building upon this, we do have a video clip from Ripple Swell. And this is Carlos Domingo, CEO and co-founder of Securitize, and he highlights how tokenized treasuries are reshaping finance. Securitize is bringing the world on-chain, registering ownership rights on blockchain to unlock real-world assets for institutions and investors. The tokenized future is now.
I'm Carlos Domingo. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Securitize. So I started the company in late 2017. Now that was like one of the first wave of excitement about tokenization. Crypto was very small when I started the company. It was like a 20 billion industry. Now it's a 2 trillion industry. So when blockchain started, I just felt like this should be the same technology layer, should be applied to regulated instruments to make them easier to transact, easier to trade, and easier to purchase. So here at Swell, we just had a panel focused on tokenization. What are the kind of asset classes that we think are going to be likely to be tokenized next? Today, treasuries obviously is the largest category. We've been having a relationship with Ripple for many years, so it's great to see how the company has expanded their vision from the initial work they were doing in cross-border payments into many other areas, including tokenization. So we're very excited about a lot of the discussions and potential partnerships that we're discussing with Ripple.
So the potential partnerships that they are discussing with Ripple. Interesting. Check this out. This goes back to December 4th of 2023. A lot of people overlook this. This goes all the way back a year ago. Standard Chartered-backed Zodia Custody joins Ripple-owned Medico's global crypto storage network. Now again, Zodia Custody just inked up a deal with Securitize. Okay. And then, of course, when we think about what Medico has become, it's Ripple custody, access the entire digital asset ecosystem today. And also, for those that actually don't know, this anything around tokenization involves the XRP ledger when it comes to Ripple custody. We've broken this down many times before. But remember that Ripple literally funded Securitize. Going all the way back to 2018, Securitize supported by Coinbase and Ripple with $13 million in funding. Guys, Securitize was nothing until Ripple and Coinbase joined up to back them. So Securitize is literally funded by Ripple. Securitize has exposure to all of these big players. And now that they're really looking into tokenization in a large way, and even with Standard Charter's, Zodiac custody, who do you think they're going to utilize for a main custodian? In my opinion, it is going to be Ripple custody. But thinking about how big all of this is, it leads me to what BlackRock initially told everyone before inking up these deals with Securitize. Listen closely.
We believe the next step going forward will be the tokenization of financial assets. And that means every stock, every bond will have its own, basically, CUSIP. It'll be on one general ledger. Every investor, you and I, will have our own number, our own identification. We could rid ourselves of all issues around illicit activities around bonds and stocks and digital by having a tokenization. But the most importantly thing, we could customize strategies through tokenization that fits every individual. We would have instantaneous settlement. Think about all the costs of settling bonds and stock. But if you had a tokenization, everything would be immediate because it's just a line item. And so we believe this is a technological transformation for financial assets. If you want to talk about voting and voting choice and all the things, if we know every moment who is the owner of that stock and it's now time to vote, every individual who has ownership is identified and they can vote their own shares. We believe the next step going.
Now, let me ask you all this. Does this sound like something that can happen on Bitcoin or even on Ethereum? No. This is why I say that XRP will be bigger than Bitcoin. It will be worth more than Bitcoin. Today, if XRP had the market cap of Bitcoin, XRP would be sitting at over $30. I said here, and this goes back to September, BlackRock and major institutions keep pushing the Bitcoin and Ethereum hype machine to the retail sector. They're literally forcing everyone to believe that Bitcoin is going to be this, miracle digital asset that's going to be worth millions of dollars because it's so usable, right? You could use it at scale. You could send transactions instantly. Like, come on. Who are they kidding? I said they are doing this as a way to distract and divert the attention away from the real value in this space. Just for reference, if we look at XRP and we compare it to Bitcoin in the last year, all right, look at the percentage gained here. Just recently, XRP was outperforming Bitcoin. And if we compare it to even, let's go back to Ethereum, okay? So here we have Ethereum. So far this cycle, XRP has severely outperformed Ethereum. And I said, you were told multiple times now that the focus is on tokenization. Do you really think the world could be tokenized on Ethereum? I'm not going to mention Bitcoin here because let's just be honest, it has failed as a viable network for financial use cases. That's not me being an anti-Bitcoin guy. I'm just being legit with you guys. A lot of Bitcoin maxis will continue to sell you on the hopes and dreams of it being a store of value. It's just nonsense. They're clinging on to anything to say, hey, Bitcoin is going to be around for the next, 100 years because it's a store of value. Like, how far can that really go? Okay. Like, we need to have some legitimate use case value here, or else it's just going to be old tech that at some point in time, people are going to be like, why am I even holding this? Especially as we do start to see these other networks being adopted at scale. And utility being the main driver. If utility is the main driver and you can't utilize Bitcoin for anything outside of just holding it, what type of value do you think that's going to create? So at the end of the day, what will be, institutions and asset managers really be using? They won't be using private ledger technology because it would be a walled garden and wouldn't fix anything. we must look at the public ledger technology in the space that can actually handle the scale and be utilized for these types of use cases. This is where all the money will be, and this is where investors behind this tech will become very wealthy. And of course, I mentioned a lot of projects that I personally am looking into. There are definitely others that could be mentioned, but no one cares about these projects. Price action is the only thing that retail is focused on right now, which is very surprising considering fiat currencies continue to lose their value. We need to stop looking at this space as currencies and instead look at this space as technologies. The entire world is moving towards a tokenized digital society, yet the largest players push Bitcoin and Ethereum. Do you ever question why that is? Since when do the elites really tell us their plan and allow us to get rich through it? The answer is never. And yes, as we think about where we are at right now, cyclical wise, we are still in the Bitcoin phase of crypto, where Bitcoin is the driver of everything. But when utility is the key driver, when the space is regulated, what do you think is going to be the number one project? It is not going to be Bitcoin. It is not going to be Ethereum. This is why I do think that almost 99% of all investors in the space, because what percentage is actually invested into these utility projects, they're going to be completely shocked by what's coming. But also the entire world will soon wake up to the fact that, it was never about Bitcoin. It was never about Ethereum. It was about these projects that can actually handle trillions of dollars per day. And a lot of these networks just can't. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.